G'day guys, Narozini is here for Villawood IDC for the Corrected Test Series episode 10. Joining me today, one and only, an Australian legend, investigative humorist, Dan Ilic.
Actually, Neroz, I'm actually DJ Dan Ilic now.
DJ.
Yeah, bringing that fat beats to the IDC. Yeah, you know me. That's what I'm doing.
By the way, you do realize that Bluetooth is not really connected.
Oh, yeah, I can't. That's why I can't hear anything. Do you think that's why DJs have? Yeah, let's get us both in shot here.
Yeah.
Do you think that's why DJs always have one ear off? Because they're actually not connected. They're just pretending. What the fuck do DJs do anyway? Really, they play songs and then they clap their hands in the air. Isn't that what they do? That's the job of a DJ, to play songs, then tell you, hey, raise your hands in the air like you just don't care. Woo! I hit go on Spotify playlist. Anyway, Dan, I'm not a DJ. I'm not a DJ. These are your cans. I wasn't allowed to bring mine in.
It's funny. I can have a phone.
Yeah, I can't have a phone. Yeah, I'm a citizen.
Yeah,
what a fascist regime.
This fascist regime. Hang on. Should I? Right. All right, Dan, tell me, where you been for the last... I can see myself. Damn, I'm looking fat. Anyway,
don't show your dad. I know your dad is worried about how fat you're
my dad, literally, every time he speaks to me on the phone, his main question is how much weight I've lost.
Yeah, and how much weight have you put on?
Yeah, and I have to literally tell him that, Dad, I've been in detention for 4 years. Yeah. I've got other things to worry about. Yeah. It's like, are you going to the gym? He literally sent me this tracksuit from Pakistan, with a physical training so I can get motivated to do some exercise.
You should explain to your dad that you have put on some stress weight for being in detention. This is stress weight, Dad. Yeah. I'm stressed out of my brain.
Speaking about stress, 4 years in detention, it's like humor. You gotta learn to laugh at your own misery.
Well, for you, what's for people who don't know about the funny side of being in detention, is there one thing that you think is really funny that people don't know about?
Well, I'll give you an example. Back in 2018.
Oh, I just had an idea.
Yeah.
Should we start this stream on my feed? I don't know my password. That's okay. No,
have a crack. I probably don't remember my password either, but mobile. I reckon we should do that.
And then, because then what could happen is it might reach a larger
Somebody
audience.
Just send you a hug.
Hello, corrupt New South Wales. Corrupt New South Wales. Corrupt New South Wales.
Send you hearts full.
I like the corrupt heart New South Wales is email us. I'm not in New South Wales Labor. I can't be corrupted.
Right.
No, forget it. Let's just continue.
Yeah. So
my question is to you, what's one of the funniest things about being in detention that people who don't ever have any experiences with coming to detention centres or know of anybody in detention wouldn't understand?
For example, 2018, there was a riot in Jonga Hill IDC. So it had 4 compounds. I was in the Hawk compound, and Falcon compound was pretty much burned to the ground. Yeah. And the whole compound was on fire for 6 hours. The whole compound was on fire. Circle guards have just ran for their lives, abandoned us. There's nobody around. And for 6 hours, the fire is burning. Anyways, about 4 a.m., the fireys come in, start to put down the fire, and then the whole riot squad comes in with the riot gear, with the German Shepherd dogs, right? Now, people have been detention for a long time, and they're people from different countries, right? Now, the riot squad comes in, and unfortunately, that dog is barking a lot, just really dogs onto something, God knows what. There's this Tamil guy. He doesn't speak much English. He comes out of his room and started yelling at the dog, "Shut up! Shut up!"
To the dog?
Yeah, to the dog. And it was that point, like there are a lot of detainees from our side of the fence who were sledging the cops, right?
Right.
And the cops are sledging them back. And at that point, all of them got united and started laughing at that guy.
Tamil guy.
So, I mean, humor is something which kind of unites us across the border.
It's a very absurd image. We were just talking before about Baruz Bachani's book, and in it he has a character called the Cow, which is a fat detainee on Manus Island who would always line up first to get fed, and then after he would put his plate away and have 2 desserts, he would then go back round to the tent and line up again. Yeah, just to wait for the next meal to come round.
That's I mean, you see some things.
I'm not calling you a cow.
No. I'm trying to follow this. I'm getting here. I mean, there's
my mother and grandma were refugees. Scott Morrison and his government should be charged for human rights abuse. Yeah, that's one comment. We'll take that as a comment. Corrupt New South Wales.
Yeah.
My dad was a refugee.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing which we don't take into consideration, that all of Australia was built by migrants.
Yeah.
For migrants like yourself. Every single one of us are migrants.
Yeah.
And you look at this bushfire crisis where all of the communities got united and taken a united stand, but the PM has fucked off to Hawaii. Yeah. And I mean, this kind of shows that where your government you elected, where their priorities are.
Yeah, it's like the moral authority of our government is not invested in the people. It's invested in big business.
Yeah.
And that's just the way this LNP government works.
Yeah. I mean, there are so many stories. Like, I mean, 4 years in detention, I've seen so much stuff, so many stories. Like there's without naming that guy, there's an Afghan refugee in here, in my compound. Now, his story is he used to be very rich in the community. He's got his family. He used to be very rich, but he disappeared for like a couple of months and came back as an absolute drug addict.
Wow.
And his family disowned him, and he's ended up here. Now, you see him doing some weird shit in the compound.
Right.
Like the basketball pole. He literally sleeps by hugging the basketball pole and putting his head like this on the pole.
Wow. That's trauma though, isn't it?
God knows it's trauma, because the other day he was making out with the basketball pole. So it's kind of like
oh my God.
It's it's disturbing, but at the same time you feel sorry for the person, because that's what detention does to people. People have lost their brains.
My arm's getting sore.
Oh, yes,
but I think there's a solution. If we put it over here, will the fall? We'll be all right. There we go. Great. Yeah. And then bring our seats.
Oh, that's good. You're a bloody genius.
So look, I'm a television professional. All right, come now. Sit close to me. It'll feel weird, but look good. Damn. There we go. How's that?
Good, yeah.
It's so sad that these stories have to happen, and it's one of the great shames about Australia. I met my local MP, Dave Sharma, at the bottom of Bondi Westfield.
You're from Dave Sharma's close.
Yeah, I'm in Wentworth. I'm in Bondi Beach, and I saw Dave Sharma at the bottom of Westfield in Bondi Beach, in Bondi before Christmas, and he was canvassing locals. And I said to him, there are 2 great shames that I have as an Australian. One is offshore detention, and the other is emissions reduction. And he boldly lied to my face that both weren't problems, and that that offshore detention wasn't happening, and that emissions were the lowest in the world, probably. And it was so baffling to me that the person who is my local representative would lie directly to my face. And he said to me, "Have you been to Manus Island?" And I said, "Yeah, I have actually. I was there in January. I know that people are being moved out, but Nauru exists, and Christmas Island, of course, exists. And even though that's not offshore technically, but it's such a hard thing to reconcile with when you grow up as an Australian. You are indoctrinated into these philosophies of the fair go and of the immigration nation, and what immigrants can do for the country and multiculturalism, and then that is such a disconnect from what the reality of the policy is.
Yeah.
And that is, it brings incredible sadness to me as an Australian, to have to explain to friends who I worked with in America and overseas just exactly what the policy is for the government. I went to the Obama Leaders Foundation, the Obama Leaders convening in Kuala Lumpur last month, and I made some friends with some South Korean leaders there, and they reached out to me to connect with the Australian Prime Minister here to do something positive about climate change. They want to get some K-pop people out to Australia. And my friend Joe was like, hey, do you reckon the Australian Prime Minister would do us a video encouraging climate action with our K-pop stars? And I said, no, I don't think you know about our Prime Minister. He's a climate denier. And I had to explain to a Korean member of the United Nations exactly how our Prime Minister feels about climate change and how there is no way that our Prime Minister could even think about acknowledging the existence of climate change. And so it'd be very difficult for him to invite K-pop stars to Australia to talk about climate change.
I mean, this fake Christian Prime Minister, as we call it, he's obviously, his whole ideology is based on fake Christian values. I mean, I went to a Catholic school until grade 7 in Pakistan. Yeah. I know who real Christians are and what real Christian values are. That is compassion and empathy. These people have actually dedicated their lives, the proper Christians, for the well-being of the greater community. Meanwhile, this Prime Minister, what was the Tony Abbott? He reckoned that Jesus would have thought that the right place for these people is Manus Island.
Yeah,
I mean, this is the kind of people.
I think he constructed some kind of logic on Q&A, and he said, Jesus says there's a place for everybody, but it's not necessarily everybody's place is Australia. That was the loops he had to go through.
Yeah.
Jesus also said, love one another as you would want to be loved. Yeah. I don't think. And Jesus also said, give unto Caesar what is owed to Caesar, give unto God what is to God's. But no, Tony Abbott took a line about there is a place for everybody, and then made it that not everybody has a place in Australia.
Yeah. I mean,
admittedly, people like Jesus, growing up in Aramaic Bible Belt, would have no idea that Australia existed. So really, Jesus wouldn't have had an opinion of Australia.
Jesus, I mean, Jesus would have been a refugee locked up in Christmas Island if he was alive in this day.
Oh, that's right.
He would have been called a fake refugee.
Yeah, he would have been called a terrorist.
Country shopper, and a terrorist because of his beard. Yeah. And locked up on Christmas Island indefinitely.
Yeah, he would have started a cult leader. Yeah, been called.
Speaking of Christmas Island, I remember telling you the story.
I love that you've been to Christmas Island. I think not that it's a good fit, but it's such a fascinating idea.
Yeah, I mean, Christmas Island itself is, not a bad place to live. But given what they've done with this whole detention center over there, it's a lot of negative energy over there. A lot of people have perished there in the center. It's a lot of negative energy.
Can you feel it when you go in there? Can you feel negative energy?
Oh, yeah. As soon as you land, for some weird reason, put it this way.
Corrupt New South Wales says she can't understand why the United Nations isn't taking Australia to court.
The thing is, to take Australia to court, Attorney General of Australia has to refer his own country to the Geneva, the International Criminal Court.
Really?
So, that's how you get referred. Your own Attorney General have to refer the minister or whoever is responsible. So you don't see that happening even under a Labor government because they all love each other. These two major parties.
Maybe I could dress up in a suit and put on a moustache and a monocle and turn up to Geneva and say, "Hello, I am the Attorney General for Australia. We've been a very naughty boy. You should put us in jail." Yes.
I was watching one of the videos this morning where you were interviewing the Pauline Hanson supporters.
Oh, wow.
Queensland.
Oh, yeah.
Bloody hell.
That was fun.
Yeah. I'm not going to be racist, mate. But these immigrants.
Yeah, it was like six or seven people in a row picked me up. They hitchhiked from Hobart to Ilic Beach. And 6 or 7 people in a row in northern Queensland picked me up. The thing they wanted to say was, I'm not racist, but here are 10 reasons why I hate Muslims.
Yeah.
That I read on Pauline Hanson's Facebook page.
I mean, a yeah, this is just one of the, like when I was new to Australia back in 2007, right? I met my partner in 2008. She's white Australian of Russian heritage. Now, I remember when we used to go out, people used to yell at her, "Oh, couldn't you find one of your own kind?" And other people would politely tell her that, he's a Muslim from Pakistan. He's going to cut up your clitoris.
Oh,
And what else? He's going to have 3 more wives with you. And like to her credit, she told them where to go because she knew me better.
yeah.
But this is the thing, like which I observed. The first impression, the first time I felt that man, I'm someone different here.
Yeah.
Like the first time it hits you, you're not like they take you as someone who's very different.
Yeah.
And that same feeling came back when they put me on bloody Christmas Island.
Yeah.
January 2007 high, woken up at 3 a.m., handcuffed in the bed with the ERT gas throwing me around like a soccer ball. And a group of 20 people were put on a charter flight, handcuffed. And you got to understand, some people are afraid of flying. They've got a flight phobia. They don't have an option. So as soon as the plane took off, we're all handcuffed, right? And there's a guy sitting behind me, white guy from England, big build, lot of tattoos. So
A detainee.
a detainee. He's handcuffed, right? Now you can see, I can hear him telling the officer like he's afraid of flying. And the plane took off anyways. They sort of kept his cool. But then one of the pilots, because it's a small plane, the pilots came out of his cockpit and sat down having a chat with the air hostesses, and the door locked. And he freaked out. He started yelling, "Hey, who's flying the plane? Who's flying the plane?" And I mean, this is the kind of things you see in detention that, like, you like it or not.
Sounds like a very low stakes Con Air.
Yeah, it was actually the worst. It was a flying prison. They call it Sky Traders.
Sky Traders.
Sky Traders. It's a funny thing, and they got this Aussie flag on the wing, and there's actually a couple of stories which came out about Sky Traders as well.
Sky Traders.
Sky Traders, yeah. They are the worst of the worst. It's like a flying prison. You go to the toilet, they handcuff you.
Yeah.
Handcuffed even in the toilet. Yeah. You eat food, you handcuff. And this flight is not like it's a direct flight from Melbourne to Christmas Island. This flight goes from Melbourne to Sydney to bloody Darwin to Queensland, etc., stopping in every city, picking up detainees.
Picks everyone up.
And then it's a 24 hours, you're handcuffed sitting on a plane like this. I mean, people saw the images of the sheep, which was getting exported and
live export.
I couldn't imagine how people would react when they see the images of us bundled onto Sky Traders flight. But then again, Christmas Island, one of the things, like in detention, arbitrary detention, is you got to be really, really strong mentally to survive it. You got to learn to laugh even at your own misery. Otherwise, you will just end up dead, or you lose your life.
I don't know how you do it, but it's impressive.
It's just you got to have motivation. What are you fighting for? For me, I'm fighting to be reunited with my partner. And just the thought of being with her again, to see her again, gives me that motivation to wake up every morning and put up a fight. And by putting up a fight, is every single minute in detention is a struggle.
Yeah.
Because one of the things is in arbitrary detention. I remember Peter Gresta was watching one of his interviews when he was locked up in Egypt, and he did something spot on. He said, you got to learn to forgive yourself. Because when you're in detention in this environment, indefinitely, you've got nothing to do. You think about all the things you've done since you were a kid. You think about, oh, I should have treated my father better. I should have handled that friendship better.
Is that because like one idea might lead to you not being in that position, or is it just
It's about you feel you hold yourself responsible for every relationship you had. Like anything, even like something, for example, you had some friendship which broke down.
Yeah.
You hold yourself responsible, and you feel bad, and then it's a downhill. It's a slippery slope downhill.
Yeah.
So you got to learn, as Peter Grester said, you got to learn how to forgive yourself.
Yeah. And so, what did you do to forgive yourself? What's the thing? Have you learned that yourself?
It was hard. I mean, for example, I thought about all those. I thought about the kind of pain which my family is suffering overseas in Pakistan.
Yeah.
Because of my partner in Melbourne, she's all alone. Like she's suffering.
Yeah.
And then I thought about all the previous relationships I had. Like I, sort of felt very guilty at the way I broke up with, my previous girlfriends, and I just made peace with the fact that I was young, I was allowed to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And I have to be a better person now. And I just put myself a goal that I need to be a better person and do something good for the betterment of the humanity in the future.
I think, we all have power, even you in this place. And I think that you acknowledging that the power you have is this position where you are, and being connected to people who watch your stream and who follow you on Twitter and see the reports that you put out. And you have a level of privilege in this place that other people don't, like being able to speak English, being able to articulate yourself so well to the Australian audience that you're doing a great job. Like you're using your power to make real difference in other people's lives, and that's a really powerful. In itself is a powerful thing. You might not, because you're here in this cage, you might not think you have a lot of power, but by doing this and by communicating what you know, that's powerful stuff.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. One of the things my mother taught me when I was a kid, that if you see injustice, and if you have in my language, it translates into English, if you have the power in your arm to stop the injustice in your hand, stop it. If you don't have the power in your arm to stop the injustice, speak against it, that you see this is unjust. Even if you don't have that, you're too afraid to speak up, at least in your heart, consider it is an unjust, this is injustice. And that's what I believe in our Australian community. We need to sort of understand that this LNP government, what they've been doing under Australians now, the cruelty they've inflicted. I've seen it firsthand. I've seen 4 people take their own lives in this detention system. And these Australian people, they still voted for LNP. In this day and age, there's no defense. I mean, ignorance is not a defense. So, I mean, we need to sort of have compassion in our hearts.
I feel like there's a lot of Australians who are on your side, but there's also a lot of Australians who are looking at retirement with their franking credits.
Yeah.
And Labor really fucked that up. And so I feel like there's a lot of Australians who believe in true Australian ideals and who would love to see action on climate change. Would love to see Australia treat people like you a lot better and a lot with a lot more justice. But unfortunately, this last campaign, they really fucked it for some reason.
Yeah, I reckon we still did better than England.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like Scott Morrison's completely detached from what's happening here, and it's very bizarre.
I mean, for me, it has been a tale of 2 Australias.
Yeah.
One Australia which puts me in detention. Other part of Australia who loves me, like the kind of people who love me, which I call my family, will actually take a bullet for me. It's a tale of 2 Australias.
Yeah, I feel like if you go anywhere in the world, I feel like many modern democracies have that kind of separation. and it's getting worse. Like the polarization of those two worlds is all around the world is getting even worse.
Yeah.
But I think it's all around the world, not just Australia.
Yeah, and I think
maybe not New Zealand.
No, not New Zealand. New Zealand's got a proper leader. Jesus. Yeah, we are the shit version of New Zealand. It's heard it somewhere. That's what's happened. But anyways,
that's probably next time I see Dave Sharma, that's exactly what I'm going to say. I'll say, Dave, my greatest shame is that I don't no longer have two shames. I've only got one shame, that we are worse than New Zealand.
I mean, and that's a country where the birds can't even fly.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. They don't have any snakes, so it's okay.
Yeah, that's I mean, we call this the lucky country, and got these fires. And I was reading this story. I shared it in the SBS 2 days ago that there was a very good possibility. A scientist said that Australia could become uninhabitable for humans. It would become that hot. Yeah. And power dynamics change. I haven't told you this story. In 2016, there was a Serco guard who was a refugee himself. For some reason, he decided to become a Serco guard.
Right.
Now, he was
he liked the food. He really wanted to hang around the food.
I don't know what it was. I don't know. If you become a refugee, why would you want to become a Serco guard? Yeah. But he was very rude and 2016, my first year in detention, I was very depressed. Yeah. And he used to always rub it in. Oh, I'm going on a holiday. Oh yeah, I bought a house and this and that, right? 2019, he ended up in detention himself.
What for?
Peter didn't cancel his visa on the basis that his refugee claims were false, because he apparently came as a refugee from Iran, and then he went to Iran 20 times on holiday.
Right.
So, I mean, not going to go into the merits of the case, but the point being, the karma was it was an imminent lesson that power dynamics changed.
Yeah.
And I bumped into him last year at Brisbane ITA.
What, he was in detention? You were in detention?
Yes. I knew he was in detention 1 year before.
You're like, how's your holiday going? How's your house going?
No, I just went up to him. It's like, g'day, mate. Do you remember me? He was just bedazzled. He was just, he was speechless. He didn't know what to say. He'd lost half his weight. And, it just dawned on him that this was the guy, power dynamics changed. Yeah, I was his guy. I had power over him. Now I'm in the same position as him. So life, takes you to different places. Power dynamics change. One just got to stay humble.
Yeah.
Because you just don't know what tomorrow brings. I mean, the biggest asset, when they put me, pity karma can't get this horrid, cruel government. Well, you know what? Karma doesn't have a deadline.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true, Norris. Yeah.
I mean, when they put me in detention, 5th of October 2016, picked me up from my home, put me in detention. I paid my rent for another 3 months because to keep a roof over my partner's head.
Yep.
But after that, obviously ran out of money, and she had to move to her grandmother's house and then eventually get hospitalized. But the point being, everything I made, a home with furniture, my clothing, my electronics, all that, I lost all that because there was no way to keep it. Had to pay a removalist to pack the stuff up and take it to Salvation Army. Lost everything.
Yeah.
So it's materialistic things can be taken away from you in a blink of an eye. They're not your real asset. Your real asset is the love you create for yourself in other people's heart from your good deeds. So, I don't want to be preaching or nothing, but
it's very powerful, powerful things.
Yeah. So, there is something. So, most of the people who watch me on streams, they usually know my uniform is almost like either wearing this for the blue one or the black one. That's all I've got. Because, what's in clothes.
Yeah, that's right. And back to, have you lost weight?
Oh, my, come on. Now, the thing is...
Does your dad watch this?
No, my dad is not allowed to follow me on Twitter Nah, I told him, like, Mom,
because of all the things you'll say.
all the things aside, because I said, Mama and Papa, like, all my family,
Yeah.
Facebook is the only place you follow me.
Yeah.
I can't post anything on Facebook.
Yeah.
So, like, any other place you try to follow me is straight away a block.
Yeah.
Because a lot of things I don't want him to know.
Because it's upsetting.
Yeah. I don't want him to know about this kind of stuff. Yeah. So, at times I get, like, anxious. Maybe he'll read some media report or, finds out about my Twitter account. Gets me anxious because he is in a different country.
Yeah.
He can't support me or help me.
So what do you miss most about Melbourne?
Melbourne is home everything. The culture is just, it's heaven. Everything about it. It's just the smell of it, just the vibe of it. It just Melbourne has its own energy. From the people, like, people are so lovely, so friendly. And the botanic gardens. Me and my partner used to go for a walk over there all the time.
Yeah.
Love the botanic gardens. Love the city. The Chapel Street used to be on Chapel Street literally every Saturday.
Yeah.
Used to go to Phillip Island for a drive. The Great Ocean Road. I used to live in Footscray. That was where my last place was.
Yeah.
And
wow, 2014?
2016.
That would be booming now.
Yeah. No, at the time, I used to have the top apartment facing the Bulldog Stadium, and the Bulldogs had just won the championship back in the day.
Yeah.
So when ABF came to my house and they were walking in my home as if they own it, they saw from the balcony the Bulldogs supporters celebrating. They're like, "Hey, go the Bulldogs!" It's like, these people don't really know what to say and when to say it. You really just came to my house to put me into arbitrary detention.
Yeah.
And
cheering about the football team.
So,
do you miss the coffee in Melbourne?
Oh my dear, the Greek coffee. And I used to have do you know what's the second biggest city of Greece?
Melbourne.
Oakley. Yes.
After Athens, right?
Athens, yes. Yeah.
Is that a furphy? Is that a lie? I've been to Athens. It's a pretty big city. But is Melbourne really the...
Have you been? There's a suburb called Oakley.
Oakley.
Now you go to Oakley, you need to bring your passport.
Right.
You need to bring your passport at the train station to get your stamp if you have it. It's all great, beautiful, great culture, great restaurants, coffee shops.
I worked at the Athens Olympics. And I learned one phrase of Greek when I was there.
Yeah.
It's Mia mu priaros ton kolo. Mia mu priaros ton kolo.
What's that mean? Greeks, like, they got this ouzo shots. Me and my missus used to go there. She's Russian Orthodox, and the Orthodox community over there, they used to have these ouzo shots. And except this one time, imagine first time your parents meeting your partner.
Yeah.
So my father flew over from Pakistan to meet my partner and a family, right? So we took everybody, me, my partner, my godfather John, who's a former DoD official, and my father went to a restaurant in Oakley. Now, you got to know what you order, yeah? And my partner thought it would be a good idea to impress my father by ordering an octopus.
Yeah.
For the way I grew up, like, octopus is creepy ass. She orders an octopus in a plate, and me and my father, we're all like a bit, we don't want to say anything, we just don't want to tell her what to order for herself.
Barbecue octopus is one of the world's greatest pleasures.
Mate, but she tried to force feed me octopus in front of my father, and I couldn't say no because I want to be like, on the same page.
So you're trying to impress her?
Yeah.
Because she was trying to impress your dad?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Octopus.
Sounds like a Curb Your Enthusiasm.
All things, bloody octopus.
All right, now let me show you. Here we go. You hang on to that.
Yeah.
Here. So, Melbourne coffee is very good. I noticed here in Villawood International Detention Centre, it's very well branded. it's not international detention centre, it's immigration detention centre. But they serve international roast here in the detention centre. I can't imagine a worse name. It's like they're labelling you an international roast.
Yeah, that's the whole fun of it. Like, they think we're the international aliens, and they're roasting us in detention.
That's right, international roast. That's exactly what they're doing to the immigrants here in the immigration detention.
Can't make this shit up.
So, I have a theory about how to make good coffee out of Nescafe and international roast. You hold on to that. Okay. The secret is, first of all, you take your international roast, rip it open. This is now a cooking show. Hold the cup so people can see. There you go. Pour that in there. Very good. Now, what would you normally do now?
Put some sugar in it.
Put some sugar in it or water?
Water, yeah.
Okay. Don't put the water in. If you're a milk drinker, go the milk first. All right, here we go. And you don't want a lot of milk. You just want a little bit of milk. Now,
it smells good.
It smells good. So now, when you've just got this small amount of milk here, so you see if you can see that small amount of milk and a little bit of coffee, grind it into a paste. Get that paste going, and there we go. You want a really pasty, like a real thick Milo. That's kind of what you want there. And then you add the water. Here's some I prepared earlier. And I have a theory that by mixing the milk and the coffee before you add the water, it tastes better. Do you want to try it?
Smells like broccoli. I can proudly say I had the best coffee made by an Australian legend. Yeah.
Well, there's only one more step when it comes to international roast, and that is the bin. That is how you make an international roast coffee.
You heard it right.
Look at all those hearts we're getting. People love it. People love cooking shows. That's what you need to do.
Yeah.
You need to kind of come here and make a cooking show every week.
Yeah. Well, people are getting cooked here.
Cooking in your head.
We're getting mentally cooked here. But
I'd say it is interesting walking in here. As an Australian citizen, you think you're coming to a border force facility.
Yeah.
And when you do turn up, there are Serco logos everywhere. It's really, Serco is like the McDonald's of like security. It's so bizarre to be taking orders from people in Serco uniforms, not anything with an Australian government logo on or actual police. It's like, you're a corporation that takes money from the government to do this. It feels weird that there's no real authority other than the one that's kind of by force. In order to have this interaction, they can force me through these doors, through these hoops to kind of meet you.
Yeah.
But it feels weird that it's a corporation doing that, not border force or the government.
Yeah, and that's true because it's a private English company.
Yeah.
And they got one of the most bizarre logos. Their statement is bringing service to life.
Yes, the slogan.
The slogan, bringing service to life.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like bringing Nazi to life. They could have called it anything.
Yeah.
Bringing service to life. And how do they hire people?
Bringing service to life. That's not a slogan for a company that runs a detention centre.
Yeah.
That's a slogan for someone running a hotel.
Exactly. And I think
this is not a fucking hotel.
I mean, you can't make it up. I mean, that's how brazen they are. They don't care. And I don't know how weird they find their staff. I hope they're not watching me, but they probably would.
Yeah. Are they watching from the
camera? There's a reject shop of the world where they could get their human resource from. Yeah.
I'm not hearing.
No, I swear, like the kind of people who work, there are some nice people who work as a card. I got a lot of respect for those people.
Yeah.
But then they're in the ERT, there's some emergency responding white supremacists who literally get a kick out of torturing us, right?
Yeah.
There's some other good people who are really good, but the complaint I have with them is when they see one of their staff members doing something wrong, being racist or being assaulty or things like that, they would never report it. They just shut up. As a matter of fact, they'll take their side. So it's that issue which I agitate that Circo as a systemic organization needs to be banned worldwide.
I mean, the 2011, I went to do stand up in Afghanistan for the troops, and one of the places I went to was in Dubai, and all the bases, the safe bases, are all run by Serco.
Yeah.
And it was so funny talking to the soldiers there. They're like, "Oh, this place is like a detention center."
Yeah.
It was like a detention center. This place is a detention center. It's like run by Serco. It's like everything. The soldiers have probably technically more authority than the Serco, but they're just like you being shuttled around spaces.
Yeah.
But in Dubai.
Yeah.
So it's such a bizarre idea that Serco runs military bases and detention centers.
That is so bizarre.
And they also run atomic clocks.
What is even that?
It's like a clock with a little bit of plutonium that runs to exact time, that all the other clocks in the world take the time off. They literally run time. The reason why my watch syncs up to my phone and my phone syncs up with a base station, that base station syncs up with an atomic clock in London, is because of Serco. Serco owns time. Serco owns time.
Serco owns time.
When they come here and say time's up, you say, no, it's not. You can change it. You own the clocks.
I mean, when you were doing the stand-up comedy, and the base came under attack.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah.
Tell us about that.
We're in Kandahar, and I was emceeing a show, and twice throughout the show, we had an IDF attack. So rockets came into Kandahar, and the sirens went, and everybody lay down on the ground. And I continued to do jokes, lying down, going, "What's going on? What happens?" They just keep going. I was like, "Okay." So the other day, I walked down the street, but it's just like, and then after 2 minutes of lying down, you go into a hard shelter, so the barracks or whatever. And then after 10 minutes, the siren goes, the all-clear siren goes, then everybody comes back out. And we started the show again for another 15 minutes, and then more rockets came in. We had to lie down on the ground again, go back in, come back out. So we had like this half an hour disconnect. But it was it was very strange, very surreal experience doing that. But
maybe the Taliban were complaining that they didn't get they were on the guest list.
Like, they were.
You come to Afghanistan, you do a comedy show, and we're fans of yours, and we don't get entry.
Thankfully, I wasn't the only one bombing. So they were too. So thankfully, luckily they didn't kill though. That's good.
They got this idea that they get 99 virgins when they blow themselves up.
Right.
But what they don't know, that the gender of the 99 virgins is not specified.
Right.
So,
you can't win them all. You can't win them all.
No, but good on you. You went to Kandahar, the most dangerous place on earth.
Yeah, the most dangerous place. Yeah. To do my terrible jokes. We went to Kandahar, Tarin, Kabul, and Dubai.
What about Pakistan? When you visiting Pakistan?
I didn't visit. There was no room at the Abbottabad Inn.
Pakistan, in my country, actually, you will be absolutely loved.
Really?
There's not much, people knowing. I'll give you an example. Like, you follow cricket.
A little, yeah.
Wasim Akram, legendary fast bowler. His missus is Aussie, right? Yeah. Now, in Pakistan, just because she's Aussie, she's like a celebrity.
Really?
Yeah, and she doesn't want to leave Pakistan now. Everything is like, I'm Pakistani. She even changed her cricket team and allegiance to Pakistan now.
Wow.
That's like the kind of, it's borderline white privilege kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what Tanya Zayeda did. Do you remember Tanya Zayeda? She was an Australian model. She went to India. She's kind of exotic looking. And Indians loved her. They thought she was the best. So she moved to India for years and had like a Bollywood career and then recently came home.
Yeah.
And Brett Lee does the same thing too.
Yeah, he had a proper career in India. But you got to be careful. India these days is very dangerous.
Really?
It's very dangerous.
More than
because-
Pakistan.
More than Pakistan. In there, they got this, what you call it, do you know the swastika?
Yep.
Where does it came from? It actually came from the Hindu religion. So what we have in India at the moment is a Hindu supremacist government.
Right.
If you Google it, you'll find out. Narendra Modi believes that India is only for Hindus. Everybody else should be exterminated.
I've been seeing the news reports of the blockades,
Yeah.
the Muslim immigration ban, the deportation of Muslims.
Yeah, like I'm a Kashmiri Pakistani,
Yeah.
right? So my grandparents migrated from Indian occupied Kashmir to Pakistan for safety.
Yeah.
Right? Now, Indian occupied Kashmir is under 24/7 curfew for months now, where it's a total internet blockade. Because all the Kashmiris, they want their right of self-determination, which was given to them during several United Nations resolutions. But what India is doing is just killing and raping people, and they don't want the world to know about it. And then that fascist, that murderer, PM Modi, comes to Australia. What do Scott Morrison tweets? He tweets, "Kitna acha hai Modi," meaning how good is Modi? You can't make this shit up. It's like the fascists of the world have united. They've united.
Yeah.
And now India is following Australia's immigration detention system, and they're making concentration camps in India.
Yeah, this is one of the massive. This is one of the. We talk about leadership lately in the discourse about climate space, right? So, well, why should we do this? Why should we? We're only 1.3% of blah blah blah. Why should we do this? But leadership is so important.
Yeah.
Tony Abbott's stance on immigration, and the offshore detention, and the immigration stance that was really started off in the Howard era, has been emulated recently by so many countries. So many countries point to Australia and say, "Oh, here's what Australia's been doing. Let's do that too."
Yeah.
India's a good example.
Yeah.
Denmark's another good example.
Yeah.
Denmark used islands to create offshore detention centres as well, their own islands. And the United States, Stephen Miller has cited Australia as an example as well, something that he would like to emulate. That's why they've started up detention centres to house arrivals there in detention as well. So that is leadership. By doing something no one's done before, it can be said that it can be done, and people go and do it. And it's disgusting, particularly climate change is another thing that I love to talk about, that we don't show leadership in this area, because Australia can be seen to be very successful leaders in the international stage, like when it comes to immigration.
Yeah, it's very ironic. You look at, for example, my country, Pakistan. Now, when Prime Minister Imran Khan, he took his oath and he made his first speech. Now, it was the time when Donald Trump was talking about building walls and detention centers. His first speech, he says, "I want to give Pakistani citizenship to all those millions and millions of Afghan and Rohingya refugees." Afghan refugees have been in Pakistan for since the Soviets invaded them, right? And Pakistan doesn't have a detention culture. In our culture, literally, we are a poor country economically, but morally, doesn't matter where you come from. We welcome you with open arms.
Right.
Never lock you up. We say whatever we have, we share with you. It's not like it's a culture.
Yeah.
I mean, if you question them why you have it, they don't have any answers, because that's the way the people grow up over there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no idea of that. Nah, you are from a different country. You don't belong here.
Yeah.
So Afghans, since the Soviets invaded them, they crossed border, came into Pakistan, and have been living there for decades. So Imran Khan said, we're going to give all of them Pakistani citizenship, and that. And mind you, the worst terrorist attack in Pakistan, where hundreds of children of Pakistani soldiers were massacred, was actually carried out by an Afghan terrorist. If that happened in Australia, Afghans on the street would be getting lynched right now.
Yeah.
In my country, there was no outcry that deport all these Afghanis and all that. The country got united against terrorism, just like the ideology of terrorism, not the nationality, not refugee. Let's demonize these refugees. None of that.
Do you think that's even because Afghanistan and Pakistanis have been living together for a long time, for 100 years? Do you think that's something that like we wouldn't do that? like that guy, that asshole that went to New Zealand and did that shooting. There's no one from New Zealand who's going to say, let's get rid of all the Australians. Do you think that's proximity? I feel like because Australia is so removed from the rest of the world, so much of the world is separated from us physically, that mentally we have that separation as well, that, those people shouldn't come here.
Yeah, and I think that's not it, because you look at India, we had 3 or 4 wars with India. We've also been living together for ages.
Yeah, right.
It's got to do with the religion, because in the Islamic teachings, it's like it's compulsory for you to give refuge to anybody you ask. Yeah. It's literally in the religion that you have to, like anybody who asks for your protection, you have to offer it to them. Otherwise, you go to hell. So that's their culture. So, I mean, they didn't demonize the whole of the Afghans. No, none of that. Yeah. They just got united. And there's a term we use against terrorism called Khawarijis, which means that they've been expelled from the religion. Right. And we defeated them. We defeated the terrorists in Pakistan. Now it's like a lot of tourists are coming. Like there are a lot of Australians who went there. Tell you something interesting. In the northern part of Pakistan, there's a valley called the Kailash Valley. In that valley, the descendants of Alexander the Great still live in the same old ways. The valley is very hard to get to. It's in the middle of a mountain, middle of the mountain, and it's like impossible to get there. But we're the same. When Alexander the Great, in God knows thousands of centuries BC, he was in Afghanistan or whatever, some of his army members decided to stay back. So these people are his ancestors. Macedonian embassy have actually opened up a heritage center there.
Really?
Yeah, these are our...
Do they look Macedonian?
Do
they look like me?
They definitely do. Like if you Google them, Kailash Valley, the people will look like you. Green eyes and white skin, and they got like this pagan whatever the Alexander the Great kind of did all the time, the religious sort of practices. They do the same thing.
Wow.
And I mean, it's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful place, and that's just one place. Kailash Valley. There's heaps of other places to visit. Like we got the second highest mountain in the world. We got the desert. We got jungles. We got like the rivers. You can go to Kashmir, like the Pakistan side of the Kashmir. In the city from I belong, Sialkot is actually kind of next to the border. So anytime there's a Pakistan-India war, it's funny because other people get, like in Australia, there's a concept of war. People are like, oh, holy shit! No. Back in the day when I was in school, and every time the war is about to start, we're like, yes, holidays.
it's like when the school it's too hot in Australia. Yeah. It was at a day off.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
So tell me about what have you been getting up to these days?
Just enjoying my freedom. Sorry. Well, it's just so obvious. I'm here. I've been right now. I'm working on a big video about the fires and climate change and coal and the coal industry's fix on Australian policy making. Kara Schlegel has been writing that, and that's going to come out on Irrational Fears YouTube page on Monday. So that's a big video. It's like 10 minutes long. Yeah, it's taken all my time. And also working on a couple of corporate podcasts, and Irrational Fear podcast is reuniting. It's kind of energized this year. Yeah, we're going to go weekly. We're going to be making weekly podcasts about climate change and other issues around Australian news and politics. Yeah. And we'll be doing Skyping, so I'll have to get you on.
I'd love to.
And we just booked our Melbourne Comedy Festival show for Rational Fear. So we're going to go down to Melbourne to do Rational Fear down there, which would be great. That's Lewis Hobber and Alice Fraser, DJ Diabolical, and I think maybe Sean McAuliffe. I don't know. He said he would, but got to figure that out. Oh, Mark Humphries has joined. Hello, Mark. Mark Humphries and I just finished a big Audible show. A radio show for his. Hi, Mark. Great sketch last night at 7:30. You're very funny. You are. And it's a very funny show. It's like a Breaking Bad of conservative commentator.
Yeah.
And Mark, who's commenting there, he's very funny.
Yeah.
So you should listen to that. I know you've got some time on your hands.
I've got the Audible. Actually, all the books I do is on the Audible or like the audiobooks.
Oh, right.
I don't read books.
Well, I'll send you a complimentary code so you can get it for free.
That'd be much appreciated.
Yeah. I'll send you one so you can check it out. It's only 3 hours.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hopefully you don't get released from detention before then, because...
But I tweeted last year, I don't know what's going to finish first, the movie The Irishman or my detention. And it's true. I mean, it's still like last year I started watching. It's still 20 minutes to finish.
Well, that's how Mark and I have been promoting the show. We're like saying, "Oh, listen to our show. It's 26 minutes shorter than The Irishman."
I still don't know why is people killing anyone in this movie, but oh man, no, it's just in detention. It's like you have a routine, right?
Yeah.
So every morning you're gonna get up 8 o'clock, line up outside IHMS, which is the medical center.
Yeah.
You're not at 8 o'clock. You're not there. You don't get medicated. So like I take medication.
So you don't get your drugs for the week or the day or
for the day,
right?
So as in like I take medication for chronic musculoskeletal pain.
Yeah.
Right. And what they say is you're not there at 8 o'clock, you're not getting medicated. So they put it as a luxury, not as a necessity, as if it's a luxury.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between community and detention. But anyways, you gotta move along with it.
Yeah.
And I just also want to take this moment to thank Professor George Newhouse, because of Professor George Newhouse, we're having this live stream. We wouldn't have access to our mobiles if it wasn't for the good work of Professor George Newhouse, the National Justice Project, who have actually done a lot of class actions pro bono for detainees to get us appropriate medical care and get this mobile. So guys, please donate to National Justice Project, and because these people are under-resourced and they're fighting for us day and night. So and then you get this random activities, which gets you like 2 points for an hour. The points is like $2, which you get to spend on the canteen.
Right.
So
what do they have in the canteen?
What do they have in the canteen? Like,
what's the best thing in the canteen?
What's the best? Cigarettes.
Cigarettes?
Tobacco, like literally. I mean, that's what most people buy tobacco, but it's basically like just snacks, like biscuits or
what biscuits? Come on. What are they giving you? Jets.
Yes.
Oh.
Jets and.
So they give you Tim Tams?
Tim Tams, yes.
Tim Tams, well, that's okay.
I can't have Tim Tams. Like,
you're getting fat. Oh, yeah.
Like one Tim Tam, you have to do a lot of work to burn it, right?
How do you work out? How do you physically look after yourself?
So 6 months ago, I was like a gym junkie. Like I couldn't sleep if I hadn't gone to the gym.
Yeah.
At I had a bit of depressive episode. We just lose motivation.
Yes, of course.
So I kind of like lost motivation, and then I'm just trying to get back into it.
Yeah.
But what happened was, I hate cardio. Bloody hate cardio.
Yeah.
I'm asthmatic and I hate cardio. Yeah. But I love lifting weights.
Yeah.
So while I was lifting weights, what was happening was my weight was going up. Instead of going down, it was going up. So stop doing that. But
that's muscle mass, though.
Muscle mass. But you can't explain that to your mom and dad. You're still fat. They literally they just give it bluntly to me. Now that's just fat. Just give it to me straight, no sense.
Well, what you should do? You should get on a video stream with your mum and dad and do side by side from 6 months ago.
No, they literally want me to do that. Or send us a picture of your standing up. It's like it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's definitely not gonna happen. But I mean, mom and dads are I don't tell them their everyday struggles of the detention center. Yeah. I have to tell them that I have it very rude.
Yeah.
So I mean,
but you don't want to tell them. Yeah, you don't want them to know that you're having it very good, and for that to get leaked to Andrew Bolt.
Oh, fuck!
He'll say, Rose is having it so good. He's eating lots. He's getting fat.
Yeah.
And look at him playing soccer, breaking his finger.
Yeah, Andrew Bolton.
Playing on his mobile phone. We pay him to play on his mobile phone all day long.
And that's a kind of, like, you see on Twitter, I'm happy to engage in a debate with any far-right neo-Nazi, but I haven't found a single person who will put his real name and face onto his comment.
Oh, it's because they're all fake. They're all Russian bots.
Yeah. By the way, we could tell you something interesting. Back in Brisbane, I was in an airport.
Yeah.
Alternate place of detention.
Yeah.
So I was in what they call it. I was in a hotel, not really hotel, but like a serviced apartment.
Yeah.
Where you locked up 24/7 in a bloody small room.
Yeah.
And you got 3 guards on your face. Literally 3 guards staring on your face 24/7.
Yeah.
And the shift changed, and you get new ones.
Yeah.
So sometimes you used to get like nice ones and have a chat with you. Sometimes you get like absolutely racist.
Yeah.
Like this woman called Meryl.
Yeah.
So Meryl one day just snapped at me. She says, "Aren't you happy? We're feeding you. You're feeding you. You should be happy. If we go to your country, we'll be shot." They literally straight up. And I was like, she said to me words, "You fucking queue jumper." Pardon me. "You fucking queue jumper. You should be happy you're alive. We're feeding you." I didn't know where to start. It's like, now, first of all, I'm not a queue jumper. One, not that there's anything wrong with it. I didn't come here on a boat. I came here on a student visa. Studied for 4 years. $28,000 per year paid. Then I worked and paid taxes. Probably I paid more taxes than you, Meryl. Yeah, straight up. And it's like, I don't appreciate your racism. Putting your racism aside, I mean, if you go to my country, you would be loved. I mean, look at the examples of other Australians who call Pakistan home. They're very open about it on Twitter.
What she said to you?
Well, you know what she said? That's the interesting part. She said, "Oh, I'm going to be the bigger person, and I'm going to apologize for calling you a Kiwi jumper." Or, sorry, calling you a refugee. So she wasn't apologetic for being racist. She was apologizing for, like, accusing the wrong, like, racially abusing me the wrong way.
Right. So
that was pretty bizarre. So, and there were 2 other guys with her, who did not intervene at all.
Yeah.
Whose job, literally, as per the contract, was they should have intervened and told Meryl that she's out of line and she needs to stop, and made a report to her manager. And that's the biggest problem we have in Circle, because we have one Circle guard covering up after the misfeasance of other Circle guards.
I feel like the people that work in these kind of places probably listen to Talkback Radio and have those kinds of politics, even on the fringe of the right, because this is a safe place for them to exercise those values.
Mm.
Well, can I apologise on behalf of Australia?
There's nothing to apologise about.
Sorry you're here. Sorry you're here.
The kind of love I receive from Australian people is just so heartwarming that it keeps me alive. You are here, Dan.
Yeah.
And I've been a fan of you for some time. Sarah, you heard from Sarah, like, it's just like Sarah. And, the Australian people, as I mentioned, they do still, the Australian people are one of the most generous people in the whole world.
Yeah.
And I say that because I mean it, and I've seen it.
Yeah.
What I say is the government of Australia is the false advertisement of its people.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, yes, we get this, far-right Nazis, but they're an absolute minority.
Well, what I propose to you is I come back and visit you. We'll do another one of these. And maybe we can think of a funny show that we can do once every few months. I should definitely come back and visit you on the 5th of October.
I would love
for the anniversary.
Anyway, I really hope I'm not here by that night.
Oh, no. I'm friends with Peter Dutton. I'll make sure you're still here. Hey, Peter, can you keep him for another few months? Because I really want to do a 6th anniversary show, live stream from Circo, from IDC Villawood. Thanks, Peter. Just keep him in there.
Dutton's too busy counting the numbers, by the way.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. you're such a vocal advocate for justice reform around immigration and detention centres that the easiest thing for you and for Peter Dutton would be to let you go, to let you out, so that he doesn't have your voice being so loudly put out there as an advocate, because you've got other things to look after. You've got your wife to look after, you've got your life to rebuild. And if you were no longer in detention, it would actually serve his purposes better.
If he had half a brain, he would have done that, wouldn't he? I mean, he couldn't get the numbers right for the last lip spill. What would you expect from him? I mean, he's the kind of person who just gets angry and just say it, just explodes.
Yeah.
Does he want to be Minister of Home Affairs all his life? I don't think so. Yeah. He wants to become the Prime Minister.
He wants to be Grand Chancellor of Australia.
Yeah, he want to be that, but his biggest tragedy is he'll never get there. But Scott Morrison has played really well. People don't realize Peter Dutton didn't make this draconian policies of immigration. It was Scott Morrison.
He's got a trophy.
Yeah, he got a trophy, but it was Scott Morrison as immigration minister in 2013-14 who made all these draconian policies of migration and all that. Peter Dutton was just, given the ministry after that to look like the bad guy, and which many people would say he is. And Scott Morrison played that really well. He, as somebody said, as Barnaby Joyce told to Malcolm Turnbull once, that don't worry about Dutton, worry about Scott Morrison. He's a schemer. And he got what he wanted. Yeah. But the point being, he would have got rid of me. Just let me go to my family, my partner of bloody a decade who hasn't seen me in 4 years. Let me care for my partner. Let me just, have my life, and I'll stop speaking about you for a little while.
We should wrap this up, but thank you for your voice. Thank you for speaking out. And there are people who you don't realise you represent, who are in detention all around Australia and the Pacific, who need you and your voice. So thank you so much.
I appreciate that. I want to thank you.
Oh, can I give a shout out to my mate Shamandan Kananthi in Bomana? Oh, he's not in Bomana, he's in Moresby.
Yeah.
Thinking of you too, mate.
But thank you for being an absolute legend. By the way, guys, Dan is absolute legend. I just messaged him once, Dan, I'd like to meet you. Please come in. And he was straight away yes, I will. That shows how good a person he is. So anytime you see him at the pub, make sure you shout him a beer.
I'm not drinking for the moment. I'm trying to lose weight. My dad tells me I'm fat.
But Dan, thank you for being the good person you are. And thank you for being an advocate. And thank you for the lovely work you're doing.
Look, I don't know. I just like to do the work that I do. I don't think it's as powerful, as impactful on the ground as Burnside or Rose or Ruby or any of the other guys who are working really hard. But I with the comedy that I make, I like to give voice to people who don't have voices. So it's really fun and a privilege for me to meet you.
The work you do, the comedy that you do, we just watched that video from Menace. That's the best way you can get the message across. Yes, Julian Burnside is an absolute legend. He's fighting for us legally. But the main battle we have is changing the misconceptions of our people and bringing the truth to people. And that's what you're doing.
In the best way possible. You're just a good Aussie bloke. And that Peter Dutton is a spud with many eyes. And like a potato with eyes, they're always watching.
It's just... He's losing his ear, isn't he? Anytime anything goes wrong, they blame it on me. But anyways, point being, you're an absolute legend. And this is the real Australia we have. People like Dan, who are so generous, so kind, and being there for you. This person doesn't know me from so he doesn't even know me. The first time he came in here, and he's like a mate, it sounds like, known you forever, but thank you so much for being here.
Pleasure.
I much appreciate that. Thanks, mate. All the best. I will talk to you soon. Thanks, guys.
Do we have theme music?
All right.